All right, welcome to Module 3, where we're going to explore what might be the most generous and accessible car assistance programs available, faith-based and community car ministries. These are programs that could literally be operating within 5 miles of your home right now, and you might not even know they exist. Here's what makes church car ministries special. They're often run by people who live in your community, understand your local challenges, and have a genuine desire to help their neighbors. They're not bound by complex federal regulations or lengthy bureaucratic processes. When a church decides to help you, things can move surprisingly quickly. I've seen families get cars within weeks of their first contact with a church ministry, compared to months-long waits with larger organizations. And here's something that might surprise you. You typically don't need to be a member of the church or even share their faith to receive help. Most of these programs serve anyone in need. So let's dive into how to find these programs and how to approach them effectively. Church car ministries, how to find them. Finding church car ministries requires some detective work, but it's easier than you might think. Let me give you the exact search strategies that work. First, start with Google. Search for your city name plus church car ministry. So if you live in Columbus, search Columbus Church Car Ministry. Also try variations like Free Cars Church or Vehicle Ministry and Transportation Ministry with your city name. Don't just stop at the first page of results. Church websites aren't always optimized for search engines, so good programs might show up on page 2 or 3 or even later. Next, contact your local United Way or 211 service. These organizations maintain databases of local assistance programs, and they often know about church ministries that don't have strong online presences. So just call 211 from any phone and ask about transportation assistance programs in your area. Visit local food banks and ask the volunteers. Churches that run car ministries often also support food banks, and the volunteers usually know about other programs their church or neighboring churches operate. Denominational approaches. Certain denominations have stronger traditions of car ministries, so targeting these churches can be more efficient. United Methodist churches are probably your best bet. The Methodist tradition emphasizes social action, and many Methodist churches have well-established car ministries. Look for the larger Methodist churches in your area first. They typically have more resources for these programs. Baptist churches, especially Southern Baptist and American Baptist churches, often have robust outreach programs including car assistance. They tend to call them benevolence ministries or community outreach programs. Catholic Charities operates in most major cities and often have transportation assistance programs too. Even if your local Catholic Charities doesn't have cars, they usually know which churches in the area do. Presbyterian churches, particularly Presbyterian Church USA congregations, often have social justice ministries that include transportation help. Don't overlook non-denominational community churches. These churches often have significant resources and fewer organizational constraints, so they can sometimes move faster than churches tied to larger denominational structures. Local research tactics. Here's a strategy that works incredibly well. Visit churches during their community service hours, not during worship service times. Many churches have food pantries, clothing closets, or community dinners. Show up during these times, introduce yourself to volunteers, and ask about transportation assistance. Check church bulletin boards and newsletters. Many churches post information about their ministries on these places, and you might discover programs that aren't advertised online. Ask about local social service agencies. Caseworkers at food stamp offices, WIC clinics, and housing authorities often know which churches in the area have car programs because their clients tell them about successful experiences. And network within your community. Talk to neighbors, coworkers, or people at bus stops. Someone might say, "Oh yeah, my cousin got a car from that church on 5th Street last year." Specific church programs to research. Good News Garage. Let me tell you about Good News Garage, which operates in New Hampshire and Vermont. This is what a really well-developed church car ministry looks like, and it might inspire you to look for similar programs in your area. Good News Garage accepts donated vehicles, repairs them using volunteer mechanic, and gives them away to working families for free. They've been operating for over 20 years and have given away thousands of cars. What makes them special is their comprehensive approach. They don't just hand you the keys, they provide 6 months of basic maintenance, help with registration and insurance, and even offer emergency roadside assistance. While Good News Garage itself might not be in your area, search for similar programs. Look for terms like automotive ministry, wheels ministry, or car repair ministry combined with your city name. Local program variations. Every region has variations on church car ministries. In rural areas, you might find programs where churches partner with local mechanics to provide repairs rather than whole vehicles. In urban areas, some churches focus on helping with down payments or connecting people with honest used car dealers. Some churches run car drives where they collect donated vehicles from their congregations once or twice a year. Others have ongoing programs where they keep a few cars available year-round. Look for churches that partner with automotive businesses. Some congregations have members who own car lots or repair shops, and these partnerships can create very effective car assistance programs. Also, search for interfaith programs where multiple churches in an area. These collaborations often have more vehicles available and a more structured application process. How to approach churches. Making first contact. When you contact a church about car assistance, approach them professionally but personally. Don't just call and ask, "Do you give away free cars?" Instead, explain your situation briefly and ask if they have any transportation assistance programs or know of any other churches that do. Also, ask to speak with the pastor, the outreach coordinator, or someone involved in social ministries. These are the people that are most likely to know about car programs or be able to create opportunities. If you visit in person, dress neatly and be respectful of their time and space. Remember, you're not just asking for help, you're building a relationship with people who might become long-term supporters of your success. Be prepared to share your story, but keep it focused. Explain why you need a car, what having transportation would mean for your family, and what steps you're taking to improve your situation. Preparing your documentation. Churches typically have a simpler application process than government programs, but you should still come prepared. Bring recent pay stubs if you're working, or documentation of your job search efforts if you're unemployed. Have references ready, people who can speak to your character and your need. These might be former employers, teachers, social workers, or community members who know your situation. Some churches will want to see proof of residence and family size, especially if they prioritize families with children. And be ready to explain your transportation challenges specifically. How far do you walk to work? What job opportunities have you missed? How does lack of transportation affect your children? Building relationships. Here's something important. The most successful people in church car programs don't just ask for help and disappear. They build genuine relationships with the congregation. You don't have to become a member or change your religious beliefs, but showing appreciation and staying connected makes a huge difference. Send thank you notes, update the church on how the car has helped your family, and consider volunteering for the community programs if you're able. Some churches will invite you to share your story with the congregation. Sometimes this is live, or sometimes they will record your video message. This isn't required, but it can be a powerful way to thank the people and potentially inspire more donations to the program. Remember, churches that give away cars are investing in your success. They want to see you thrive, and they want to maintain a relationship that benefits you and future program participants. What to expect from church programs. Church car programs vary widely, but here's what you can typically expect. The vehicles are usually older, often 10 to 15 years old, but they're generally inspected for safety and basic reliability. Some churches handle all the paperwork for you, including title transfer and registration. Others will help you navigate these processes, but expect you to handle some of the details. Many church programs include some kind of support beyond just the vehicle. This might be help with insurance, connections to affordable mechanics, or even basic car maintenance training. The timeline can be anywhere from a few weeks to several months, depending on their current inventory and application volume. Churches that get seasonal donations might have cars available at specific times of the year. Most importantly, church programs often have more flexibility than larger organizations. So if you have a special circumstance or need, they're often willing to work with you to find a solution. Wrap up. Church and community car ministries represent some of your best opportunities for getting help quickly and building long-term community support. These programs exist in virtually every community, but they often operate quietly within church networks. Here's your action plan after this module. First, spend some time this week researching churches in your area using the strategies we discussed. Create a list of at least 10 churches to contact, focusing on the denominations most likely to have car programs. Second, prepare your approach. Practice explaining your situation clearly and respectfully. Gather your documentation so you're ready when opportunities arise. Third, start making contact. Call or visit at least 3 churches this week. Even if they don't have a car program, ask if they know of other churches that do. Fourth, be patient but persistent. Church programs often operate on volunteer schedules, so follow up politely, but don't give up if you don't hear back immediately. Remember, the people running these programs are your neighbors who genuinely want to help families in your community succeed. They're not looking for reasons to say no, they're looking for people they can actually help and make a real difference. In Module 4, we're going to explore government and social service programs that might offer car assistance. These programs often have different eligibility requirements and might offer services that complement what you can get through churches and national organizations. But for now, focus on mapping out the faith-based resources in your community. Some of the most generous and flexible car assistance happens right in your own neighborhood through people who understand your local challenges and want to see you succeed. So start making those calls, and remember, every successful person in these programs started exactly where you are now.